Finally made it to the Barrett-Jackson auction this morning. We got to go check on our cars that are for sale.
1961 Lincoln Continental convertible triple black.
Man, this is a cool car. Wait till you see what I'm going to do to it. It ain't even bad yet, things. So it's a good week this week. We're going to go backwards in the Chevelle. How could it be good going backwards? Well, we're doing it. And we're heading out to Barrett-Jackson, sell a couple cars. It's going to be interesting. New turf, new places to go. Follow us. Come on, yeah, follow, like, do that something. Let's check out the Chevelles. So, you may be wondering why the body's back off the chassis after we did all this beautiful work. I was asking myself the same question. You know what we had to do? We actually had to pull it back apart. Bad on me. Let me tell you why. When the factory builds these cars, they would put the engine, transmission, all the brake lines and fuel lines together on the car before they would actually put the body on top of it. Guess what? I had to pull it back apart because there's no way you can get a line like this back into the thing. And let me show you some things. I want to talk about quality, talk about building a nice car. Let's look at the ends of these, how we've welded these AN fittings on it. Do you know what AN fitting means? Army, Navy. They were fittings that were actually designed, I think World War II-ish. There were different universal style fittings. It wasn't about millimeters or size. There was an AN2, an AN3, an AN4. So this is probably, and I guess that to be an AN2, maybe an AN3. Anyways, we weld them onto, this is your fuel line, a hard fuel line that runs from the back of the car to the front of the car. So we actually manufacture, if you notice all the bends, you don't just mush a fuel line into position. You actually take the time, and these are actually going to be measured and scanned and actually be built for us, not here. I'll just have one of my small local job shops make these. Kind of cool, right? So if you notice the brake lines have these nice beautiful bends in them. They always stay in parallel, and then you got to be able to remove them and replace them. If you ever notice with an OEM car, you can't actually take the OEM fuel line out of it without cutting it to get it out. Ours is kind of like the same, but you won't ever need to because this is all stainless steel. So are the brake lines. But this basically, let me see if I can remember how to get it back in. Basically, just take a look at this. You roll that up into there, right? Just like so. Then that'll get strapped onto the frame. It's a nice piece, but Lord knows we had to pull the car back apart to actually do it. This is our first prototype car, so it took a couple changes to actually make it the way I want it to be. So we ended up running I'll show you here on the firewall. I got to do a little repair on here and here. And there's a couple little holes over there that actually have to be fixed and repaired because I didn't have the new firewall set in place that was going to actually transition into the car like I showed you in the number one car. Anyway, so she's got to go backwards a little bit. Hey, you got a reverse gear in your car. We're going backwards, and what we did was pull the car apart, make the brake lines, and then backfill a couple of the holes to get it just like I wanted it to be, because you see how these lines are running parallel? That is how you do a quality job. Again, if we were making this car just a one-off car and we'd be on to the next one, we'd be done long before this. So this piece is the upper radiator hose, stainless steel. You saw us welded up and make it all pretty in one of the videos before. Love this polished stainless, right? So this piece, come over here, Murph, will fit in here and go on here, and then it will get a thermal clamp. I don't have one here to show you. I wish I did. Thermal clamp that'll actually go on there. You heat it up, and that way you got to cut it to get it off. But however, you won't be taking this apart because this isn't a car you're going to have to service. This is a very OEM style. But the upper radiator hose need to be made and the lower radiator hose. And if you notice, there's a rubber bushing, or a rubber insulator between both of it because the engine moves a little bit. A lot of mistakes guys will make when they're doing this type of work is they'll let that header touch up against the chassis, or they'll let the header rub up against the trans mount, or let the header or the exhaust, and you'll get funky sounds that you're not going to want to hear. So this thing, with the motor being at less than 3 degrees down, has a good clearance for the tunnel. It has a good clearance for the back end, and the pinion angle and the motor angle are exactly in tune with each other. So they're going to be about 2.5 degrees, like this. Like this. Can you see that? Pinion angle comes up a little bit, and the motor's down just a touch, and then as you hit the gas, it does this. Flattens out and smooths out. So the last thing, insulation between the body and the chassis that has to be replaced are the body bushings. This is what a typical body bushing looks like. They sit in places like here, and they insulate the body, chassis, body, the body from the chassis. Dig it? That's a real simple deal. So now you got insulation on the motor, insulation on the transmission, insulation on the exhaust, insulation on the body. That's how you make it nice and quiet. And there's so many trinkets around here, our past. I'll tell you what, let me show you something really funny. What in the world could this be from? Ha! Why would we have this costume in that closet? Well, let me show you. We're gonna flip to a flashback when we were actually building a restaurant. Studio Hotrod Smokehouse with our restaurant, and it had the hamburger.
Nobody's getting away with nothing here at Studio Hotrods. Nothing. Hey! Give me that. Get in the car. In the car. We got a problem with you. Okay. We have a problem. Okay. You're coming with me. You can't steal bases anymore. Okay. It's bad to steal bases. Well, except in baseball. Okay. This isn't baseball. Okay. No stealing bases. Okay. We are gonna go to McDonald's. You hungry? We're gonna get you a cheeseburger. One cheeseburger. Yeah. And then we're gonna eat together. But first, we're gonna pray together. Because God's in control. I do. No stealing bases. Okay. Ever. Okay. Hello. Just waving to the neighbor. Wave to the neighbor, kid. There you go. Okay. Wave to this one. Wave to this one. Hey, very good. Yeah. See, you're learning. Please say something different. Okay. Okay. Do you understand? Okay. I'm not sure he understands. Lesson number 2. Sidekicks have to know more than one word. Okay. We'll work on that. You want cheeseburger? Okay. Or hamburger? Okay. You're doing good. Yes, 6 cheeseburgers. Very good, thank you. Okay. Use your manners. Learn to say thank you. Okay. Can you say thank you? Okay. Can I call you sidekick? Okay. Good. Can I call you Robin? Hey, I'm talking to you. When I say cheeseburger, you say okay. Okay. Very good. Okay. Communication's important. Okay. No stealing bases. Okay. No stealing bases. Okay. Ever. Okay. If you learned anything, we buy our food, we give something back to charity. Okay. We're gonna pray next. Okay. Oh, it's important to pray. Thank you very much. Thank you. I say please and thank you. Okay. They're magic words. We bought the cheeseburgers. We gave some money to charity. We're doing the right thing. Okay. We ask God to save us. Okay. We all need saving. Hey, sidekick, hold on to this. Listen, I need you to close your eyes and we're going to say a prayer. Ready? Are you with me? Okay, very good. Dear Lord, please help us make good of this thing and help this man get through his life and make better choices. We need your help in all the things that we do, Lord. Thank you for this food and bless it to the nourishment of our bodies. No kidding. God, you are in control. We do love you. Jesus, in your name, we always pray. We love you, Lord. Amen. Hey, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Okay, now let's get back to working on the Chevelle. You can see we're still going backwards, it's like a moonwalk. We didn't know where everything was going to go the first time we straightened out the firewall. Now that we know where everything's going to go, it's really much gooder. Is gooder a word? Anyway, so what we're doing right now is we're filling some of the holes that we actually didn't need and make us new ones that we do need, and then we'll clean it up, and then we just kind of roll that over the body shop real quick, and we'll reshoot that front firewall. But that's why they're prototypes. By the time we get 3, 4, 5, 6, by the time I'm dead, they'll be darn near perfect. But unfortunately, we're going backwards just a little bit. This is the power lug that we ran through the tunnel that we made. And this is the interface that takes all of the electric components that runs the harness for the car. So you won't see anything as it all comes up and through. So we had to modify that because we weren't really sure where that was going to go yet. And then we put this power lug, which is really a cool piece because it keeps the battery power cable inside the car rather than running it underneath the car. A lot of people run the battery cable through the body, up along the chassis, and then back up. We're actually running it all inside the car. So let's go to the reason that we are actually doing the repairs on this car. What we did is when we took all the components that actually fit on the firewall and made them and stuck them to the firewall, we had to back drill the firewall because that gave us a spot so we could make our master template. So the next 1969 we build will go much faster than this. This is where we make the corner from the one-off builds to the production style build, right? Remember how we had to take apart the body off the chassis, right? To make the brake lines, duh. And then we had to patch up some holes and deal with some other stuff that was there. Things we need, things we didn't gonna use, all that kind of soup, right? So this is essentially the second version of it, which is getting very efficient. Let me explain what I mean by very efficient. These components you see here are stacked up in a module that all mounts to the firewall. So rather than put the firewall in and figure out where everything is gone, this car has been modified to actually take a firewall that has all the components on it that hang these components. Does that make sense? So there's studs and holes and things in place that are already pre-made, so we can take things like this. This is a universal bracket that we made that actually goes in a 70 Chevelle that holds a Highway 22 wiring module, the digital control module, the BIM module. Very cool stuff. Next thing is this mounts to the bracket below it, which is the vintage air vent, right? So boom. Wow, amazing. Look at this. All pre-studded and coming apart. So we make this part, we make this part, we make this part. Everything that we designed is built to be very easy and efficient, not only for manufacturing, but for repair, for maintenance. If there's issues that come up, we've got it figured out with a good service manual exactly how to fix it, take it apart. So digitizing these components is super important, but it's all prototyping. So it works concept, prototype, assembly, disassembly, digitizing, and then I can send the parts out to my third-party manufacturers and have, hey, I need 25 of these. Rather than having a guy in the corner trying to make each part like this, or these more complicated parts, there's guys that are local that have all kinds of tables and vendors and kind of stuff that we do too. Obviously we made this, right? But we don't have to make 20 of them or 50 of them or 100 of them. I'll just have them pre-made and it'll be ready to go with your car. Isn't that cool? Last piece, but not least, think about this firewall with all the parts that are gonna go on it, right? And you can look at the firewall that's gonna go in there. It's got the Tango, and it's got these different studs in these different locations that are already cut out to fit appropriately in the car. Well, pretty darn slick, right? So before we're gonna weld it on like we did the other one, we've got this all pre-made to hang all those components inside the car. Everything's prototyped. We're just digitizing them now. We gotta scan them, we gotta get them in. We'll be jobbing out all the pieces. Then we can come back and start smoothing out and flattening out that beautiful firewall. That's the way you do it. Way different than the first one, ain't it? ATC number 3. Changes will come. LT4, different exhausts, different transmissions. We already got the tunnel that's universal. So hopefully this is a one and done, meaning put it together and it's painted, it's correct, they hang all of our components. I'll show you about the wiring and all that stuff as we move forward. But cool, isn't it? That's how we're gonna produce One Car a Week. We are now getting to what I consider the fun part of the project. I know I'm going to geek out on here for a second, but listen up. We are going to take those components that we made for the 1969 Chevelle number 1 car and the 70 Chevelle, the number 2 car, and we are going to digitize them. What that means is we are going to convert the physical pieces by scanning them, and we are going to come up with DXF files that we can send to third-party manufacturers that can make us a repeatable piece. That way, as we build our Chevelles, I'm like, hey, Give me 20 of these, 10 of those, 15 of these, 100 of those, whatever we need to build our Chevelles. Those components come in, we inspect them for quality and consistency, and then they're ready to install directly into the next Chevelle. How cool is that? And now it's for the non-geeky part of it. As long as we have the tools like the plotter cutter, we're gonna go ahead and make some cool shirts to actually wear at Barrett-Jackson. Heck, man, might as well tell the world we got the 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty Chevelles. We're the only ones that offer it, and we are first to market. Why not stake our claim? Oh yeah, with our name on our back. A walking billboard. We are out. Off to Barrett-Jackson. You ready?
Yes.
You gonna buy anything?
I'm gonna try. Yeah, off to Barrett-Jackson.
Off to Arizona. Ready? Off to Arizona. All right, you ready? Arizona.
I got one.
One up. All right, Pete.
Where are we going?
I don't know.
Okay, good.
Hell of a handbasket.
Going to Vegas.
A little one. You like going forward or backward? Doesn't matter. Excuse me. Do you have any grape poupon? Harry,
Going in style.
do you have any grape poupon?
Excuse me, do you have grape Poupon? No. No, we got hot rods. Wow, look at that. See you, Kyle. Finally made it to the Barrett-Jackson auction this morning. We got to go check out our cars that are for sale. It is going to be a good day here at Barrett-Jackson. Wow, what a cool car, huh? It's actually built by George Barrett. It's like an AMX. And it is going to be going up for auction here. And it is crazy condition. You look at the louvers and the work that they did. Come on with me. Look at the louvers, the beautiful work they did on. And right behind it is the 1967 electric. Come in. GTO. Right, fully electric GTO going for auction right behind it. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting day here at Barrett-Jackson. Let me tell you, it's pretty cool. So there goes the 41 Cadillac. In a couple minutes, it's not going to be mine anymore. How much is it going to go for? Very nerve-wracking. And right here, it's a 61 convertible Lincoln. So you go.
One specialist update, 1961 Lincoln Continental convertible triple black. Extensive restoration. It took 5 years.
Oh, that did not go as I planned at all. Hammer down on what? I did learn the to-dos and not to-dos at Barrett-Jackson. And next week, I'm going to tell you what I did wrong and what I did right. There's some good stuff, but yeah, lots to learn. Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to just gotta go.